Hello everyone, you are just joining in the Little Nook by Fairy and here's Fairy. Let's start our today's video, but before going further, don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel, like the videos and share. So today we'll start a famous novel by Thomas Hardy, Tess of the D'Urbervilles. So first of all, let's introduce the writer, Thomas Hardy. Deep and profound is the influence of Hardy's early life on his work. He was born on June 2, 1840 at Upper Bockhampton near Dorchester. He was the son of a builder and he himself practiced architecture in his life for some time. So he received a mixed culture in which precious notions, the sense of volumes, and the equilibrium of an architect are joined to process of artistic refining. This fact has a lasting influence on the plots of his novels. He built his novel as a mason builds a house. The string of every part is calculated, every stone has its place, every crumb of mortar bears its part. The creative work of Hardy is governed by a powerful logic. The second important fact is that Upper Beckhampton near Dorchester in Abbey neighborhood of which he has lived a retired and scheduled life for practically the whole of his long and busy life is situated in the lap of nature. He was an imaginative lad, so impressions received of nature in his early life stamped his work later on. Nature in his novel is very important. It is not just the background in the drama, but a leading character in it. Sometimes it exercises an active influence on the course of events. More often, it is spiritual agent, coloring the mood and shaping the dispositions of human beings. He lived among the sons of earth and he described sons of earth. He simply couldn't choose successfully men from madding crowd as his protagonists or the chief characters. His characters are country bred, his characters are plebeian, agricultural people rooted in the soil. Moreover, just as countryside is sparsely populated, similarly, his canvas is not crowded with a large number of characters. Again, the calm and the quiet atmosphere of rural life also prevails in his books. His stories contain in themselves relics of popular English superstitions, which played so large a role in the stories. He listened around the fire in the long winter evenings, and the ball stories heard there left their mark too. Village humors that he enjoyed among the rustic folk permeates his novels. His pessimism, for which he is so often blamed, is also simply an outcome of the impressions that he received of villagers' life in his early life. There was plenty of tragedies in the life of the poverty-stricken Wessex folks, dependent and the ignorant, exposed alike to the oppressions of the social system and the caprice of weather. And the president of immortals at the very important of their life, the people among whom Hardy lived and was brought up were made conscious of men's hopelessness in the face of circumstances. So be happen to the entertain and a preview view of God, her ways. He believes firmly that circumstances are more powerful than human beings. Our chance in its purely malevolent aspects enters our life so often and spoils its charm further. He believes that life is not worthy living because it is so full of sorrows and sufferings, trials and tribulations, pain and agony. For him, happiness is but an occasional episode in the general drama of human pain and suffering. In the end, we must record another aspect of his early life that left its mark upon his work. The place where he lived, rural Dorset, is a remote place, and it was more remote in the early years of the 19th century than it is now. Feudal and sequestered, centering round church and village in Squire's Manor House, its life little touched by the changes of the great world revolved in the same show rhythm as for the hundreds of the past years. The religion is full of smouldering relics of bygone ages, and he has a sensitive, brooding imagination that loves to play over the past. It its outcome is the land of his invention, Wessex, that he had dealt with in so masterly a manner that it has become an immortal religion in the realm of the novels. First impressions of a writer are the most fundamental and the most durable. They cast their deep shadow over his work. This dictum is far more true in case of Hardy the novelist. So now let me quote some of the major novels of Thomas Hardy, such as Desperate Remedies 1871, Under the Greenwood Tree 1872, A Pair of Blue Eyes 1873, Far from Madding Crowd 1874, The Hand of Ethelberta 1876, The Return of Native 1878, The Triumphant Major 1880, A Lodician 1881, Two on a Tar 1882, The Mire of the Castor Bridge 1886, The Woodlanders 1887, Tess of the D'Urbervilles 1891, Jude the Obscure 1895, The Well-Beloved 1897. And here are some of his short stories like Wessex Tales 1888, A Group of Noble Dramas 1891, Life's Little Ironies 1894, A Changed Man in 1913. Let me quote few of his poems like Wessex Poems 1898, Poems of the Past and the Present in 1901, Time's Longing Stalks 1909, Stars of Circumstance 1914. So Life and Art 1925, letters and transcribed by the original autobiographs in the Colby College Library in 1954. And when we talk about the main features of Hardy, a novelist, the novel aim at presenting to us developed characters. If we read the master of fiction, we can safely conclude that their works give us chiefly certain characters which we can never forget. One who reads Hardy will ever carry in his memory the great characters like Henchard, Test, Ostatia. The characters of Fielding, Walter Scott, Dickens, Thackeray, Hardy have become immortal. Every reader of English literature remembers them forever. Thus, the most important part of the novel is character drawing. On comparing the novel with the drama, we find the art of drama aims at providing us with action which purges us of our baser feelings with intense emotions. The art of novel is a bit different from the art of drama. The novel is a kind of compromise between epic and drama, epic in its mode of presentation, but trending towards the dramatic in its closure, unity, and exclusion of the episodes. It is intended not for vivid stabbing representation on the stage, but for the thoughtful serenity of the fireside. Its purpose is not to bring about sudden earthquake, upheaving of the moral nature, but rather to inspire process of grave reflections, meditative, not purgative, less driven, but more human. Thus, the novel differs from the drama. It is more reflective. It gives us complete picture of man. It leaves us thinking about the problems of life. This aim of novelist is fulfilled through placing before the readers certain outstanding specimens of humanity. These characters are shown to pass through various places, just as in Tess, the novelist has shown the 7 phases of development of Tess. The first is the maiden phase, when Tess is quite pure, innocent, living in the domestic world. The second phase is maiden no more. This phase shows striking changes in the personality of Tess. She has been seduced by Alec, and which has created a gulf in her character. The third phase is the Rayleigh. Here, the industrious and the emotional qualities of the Tess have been vividly brought out by the novelist. She has been shown as the hardest worker in the Talbot's Dairy. In the fourth phase is the consequence. Here, the novelist shows us the marriage of Tess with Angel Clare, which again puts into broad relief some of the hidden qualities of Tess. The fifth phase is the woman pays. Here, the novelist brings about quite clearly the constructive qualities of the Tess. Here, we have the sleepwalking scene wherein Tess plays the notable part of saving the life of Angel Clare, her sense of loyalty and chastity has been nicely depicted in this phase. The sixth phase is the convert. Here again, the torchlight is turned on Test. Angel Clare's realization of his past mistakes have been vividly described. The frustration of the Tess again shows or throws light on the character and motives of Tess. The last phase is fulfillment. Here, Tess murders Alec and is reunited with Angel Clare only to die on the gallows after a short time. This is the destiny of Tess. The novelist has been successful in probing into the emotional instructive forces working in Tess. Hence, we can say the novelist places before us typical or significant specimens of humanity passing through trouble or otherwise revealing phases of life, and the exhibit spiral and surge of their souls. The first quality of Hardy as a novelist is his wonderful gift of developing characters in the novel. No critics have doubted the greatness of Hardy in this respect. The reader of Hardy can never forget the long list of the great characters which ever remain fresh in his memory. We have Jude Foley, Gabriel Oak, Angel Clare, Michael Henchard, Clem Yobright, Giles, Winterbourne, who are some of the chief male characters. They make deep impression on the minds of the reader. They have their own whims, impulses, philosophies. Among the male characters, we have unforgettable secondary characters such as Baldwood, Farfair, Phliston, Troy, Alec, D'Urberville, and the Jocelyn Poston. They are the finest examples of the human weaknesses and virtues. Then we have female characters: Tess, Sue, Bathsheba, Elizabeth, Jane, Grace, Marty. Hardy has shown wonderful grasp of womanly nature. The above names are really a symphony. In the presentation of these characters, Hardy delves deep into human nature. He places the crystal of human souls in enduring heat. We can pick up tests and analyze the method of Hardy in the creation of characters. He has seen agony and innocence in the heart of Tess. From beginning to the end, Hardy has wonderfully entered into the hidden parts of Tess' heart. We find the same Shakespearean tragic treatment in Tess. Tess not only dies, but her soul is clearly ruined. This stark tragedy is similar to the some of the great tragedies of Shakespearean like Lear, Macbeth, Hamlet. Now, not in the rest of the Elizabethan drama, not in the rest of English literature, till you find another soul's tragedy until you reach Hardy, and this supreme feature of Shakespearean tragedy is born again in the novels of pure modern. Considered from this point of view, Tess is the greatest creation of Hardy. Here he has shown the desertion, the struggle for bread, terrible death of Tess. She is crushed by the weight of circumstances, hence Tess is the finest character ever written by Hardy. One of the qualities of character drawing is his grasp of soul's tragedy. In all his great novels, in the sad antagonisms of Angel Clare and Tess, in the strange half comprehended and comradeship of Jude and Sue and their despairs, in the grim struggles and ups and downs of Mire of Casterbridge, in the southern splendors of love, Astucia in the glooms of blood, and the magnanimity of Gabriel Oak. In all these, we are concerned with less transcendent, fussy, and mundane emotions, more spontaneous, illogical, almighty than reasons. Through characters, Hardy has presented to us the conflict between spirit and flesh. He has shown us the pervading agony of life through his characters. The contemporary critics pointed out that all the characters of Hardy are common people, villagers, rustics, peasants, and laborers. But he was not only the novelist who did this. Even before him, we have Tom Jones, whose characters are purely plebeian. No doubts the predecessors of Hardy had followed the Aristotelian law in character creation that the hero must be a man of high rank. But all tragic heroes of Hardy are common people. Tess is a milkmaid and the daughter of a haggler. The real greatness of Hardy is that he selects characters from ordinary walks of life and makes them so impressive. They become more universal out of the prosaic incident of life. He is able to weave a poetic pattern of life which is so appealing to the readers. Life is as interesting among ordinary people as it is in palaces and luxurious drawing rooms. Hardy has disproved that Hamlet's feelings are not presented among common people. By presenting common people, Hardy has really responded to the spirit of democracy. It is this type of dim, unapprehended personality that Hardy, for the first time in literature, has definitely taken up and made his own. In a sense, it's Hardy's special contributions to the spirit of the age, democracy. Many critics and writers, including R.L. Stevenson, were of the opinion that characters must come from ordinary life. In all the characters of Hardy, we have some special aspects which attracts our notice by its simple beauty. One cannot point to Tess with her natural refinement, Oak with his natural dignity, Henchard with his natural grandeur. These characters spring from the very soil of Wessex. We have a new presentation of man where nature forms the background. The method of character drawing followed by Hardy is set on his own, and this is exemplified by Henchard and Tess. In the creation of the character, his eyes are always on the formation of human personality. So we found all these qualities in character of Tess. The various phases of career of Tess gives us an idea how she has developed from a sensitive girl into a perfect, passionate woman. He has used other ways to throw light on the characters of Tess. There are vivid descriptions. As an artist, the various colors and the contours of characters are described in detail by Hardy. Through metaphor and similes in all his qualities, he have been sought to be brought out. There is a certain touch of realism in presentation of Tess. We often find the sun and moon shedding their lights on the innermost feelings of Tess. Hardy is a student of effects of time, circumstances upon the human form. So, Test's importance of age, heredity, and environment are never forgotten. He reminds the readers of the basic instincts that works through man in spite of himself. But the social customs, traditions are to a great extent responsible in molding human personality. All through the novel Tess of the D'Urbervilles, we have the consequences that the novelist is trying to drive home the lesson that heredity and environment are both very strong factors in the constitutions of human character. Another characteristic of Hardy, the novelist, is that he makes excessive use of the mysterious and the inscrutable. There is no supernatural element in his novels, but his references to the marvelous and the mysterious make his novels verge on the borders of the supernatural. In the age of science, ghosts, apparitions, and evil spirits are not liked by the general readers, but in the subconscious there is still some fear of the dark forces. Superstition still governs the minds of the rustic, and Hardy has presented highly charged atmosphere, moon, dawn, twilight. We can see many scenes in the novel Tess of the D'Urbervilles where the novelist has woven a dark web of the mysterious and the marvelous. Tess look at many places ghostly and visits the house at Wellbridge where they stay after Tess and Claire marry is mysterious and ghostly. In the morning time, the chimney top seems to be the head of the big demon. He has followed the Wordsworthian method of describing nature in vivid colors, but at the same time imparting to it the idea of strangeness and mystery. Another example of appealing to the superstitious nature of man is crowing of the cock at the time of departure from the Talbot Dairy. Coincidence in Hardy are a regular feature. Dufan rightly observed that the coincidence is so frequent in Hardy that there is some danger of its being regarded as a or even as a pessimism device for bringing about crisis or denouement. The method is, however, quite deliberately employed and is well rooted in Hardy's philosophy. Tess of the D'Urbervilles is full of coincidence. One very glaring example of coincidence in Hardy is a Tess accidental meeting with Alec D'Urberville coming towards her village Marlot in the most distressed periods of her life. Tess meets Alec when he is delivering a sermon. From the belief in the dark and demonic forces ruling the universe follows the last characteristic of Hardy. Irony is the chief weapon in the hands of the novelist. Some other instances in Tess of the specially ironic nature may be easily cited. The marriage of Tess and Claire takes place. They are on the third day to separate from each other. The parents send a parcel containing ornaments and jewels. This is a sheer irony. Dubry Fields is an ironic figure. Tess is an ironic figure. Alice plays with his stars when he loves Tess in an attempt to get the beloved. He meets his death. Angel is also an ironic figure. He has married Tess only to divorce her. This latter repentance is the proof that the reversal of his hopes and desires. The natural background and the love for animals are also the qualities of Hardy. Throughout the novel, Hardy we can discern his great concern for painting natural background, dark, dismal, or idyllic colors. He seems to be the great lover of nature. He has painted the broad landscapes of valleys, hills, woods, rivers, and Edgun is a living entity. And as we talk about his plays or Hardy's plays in English literature, English fiction had seen so many masters before Hardy, but no one had given her such sober gravity as he did. Under Hardy's canopy, she enjoyed a kind of delight that can be named as spiritual. Happiness has two aspects, visible and invisible. That which is visible is often named as joy, and which is comprised of loud or low laughter and smiles. The latter, which is invisible, remains at the soul and never comes upon the lips. This is sober in temperament and profound in feeling, and this is the delight that Hardy gave English fiction because comedy gives delight to the mind, a tragedy gives delight to the soul. But it is not only the tragic temperament that wins a high place for him. He has so many other qualities which we do not find in his contemporaries. George Meredith, who had returned his first novel with ever bitter remarks, said about him afterwards that Hardy was the leader of his contemporaries. His contribution to English novel has much significance. Pessimism, religionism, Malorism, and realism are some elements for which he is prominent. No doubt, everybody before him tried those things, but in abundance and superiority, everyone lagged behind. In Hardy, often we meet a countryman of a simple habits, a woman of pure ideas, but it is the psychologist who governs his narrations, keeping his mind quite melancholic as Hardy wants the psychologist inside him reads all the actions of man. As far as his plot construction is concerned, B stands very high. He is perhaps greatest in this respect. The mode of their writings is different, and the patterns of life which they follow are different. Hardy chooses countrymen and their simplicity. Meredith chooses city men and the refined manner. Hardy likes rusticity, purity, and Meredith like urbanity and hypocrisy. Hardy sees nature as the devastating element, and Meredith ignores her altogether. When we come to the realism in his novels, we are surprised to see that he has given a name to every loose stone of the road. All the tracks, roads, ruins, fields, trees, groves, countries, crossings, and men whom we come taken from the real desert. Many of them are placed with their actual names. As an artist, real artist, he is unrevealed. He rightly remarks in this preference to Tess that a novelist should be an impressionist and not a pleader. A novel should be an impression and not an argument. Every novelist is a short storyteller at bottom, and therefore the novel must remain a story and should not become a thesis. We see that his fit when seen through his own criterion, the stories that he heard from his mother in childhood help him much. He always called himself a storyteller and never gave to himself the name of a novelist. Music, which he inherited from his father, rendered him a temperament that made him a poet. He tried in the field of poetry but couldn't succeed. Then, with the same poetic heart, he jumped into the field of the prose, and his novels became ballads in prose. He gave tales which had poetic themes as intense love, high emotion, simplicity, purity of mind, rather than of physique, innocence, and the role of nature. The dignity and the sobriety which Hardy novels have can be found nowhere wherein the works of the contemporaries. He gave pessimism and mallorism to the English novel. He is the first man who showed the horrible side of nature. As we talk about his philosophy, Hardy's conception of life is essentially tragic. He is one of those who thinks life by no means a boon. For him, happiness is but an occasional episode in the general drama of pain. His attitude to life is melancholic and depressive. He hates life inversely. He doesn't think it worth living. He perceives it in the grip of cruel, blind, and oppressive unknown will. Life, like flies to wanton boys, are we to the gods. They kill us for their sport. Chance, in its purely malevolent aspect, enters our life and spoils it, brings trials and tribulations, sorrows and sufferings, pain and agony in its train. What it is the use of being plaything a toy in the hands of the mischievous president of the immortals, as regards the dictum? Character is destiny. He thinks that man is what he is because of his environment and ancestry, and these in turn are determined by our fate. Fate is overruling, overpowering, and irrepressible. So, in his ideas, our destiny is our character. His philosophy has left its deep impressions upon all the aspects of his creative work. His subject is human life. He sees human beings less as individuals than the representative of a species, and in a relation to the ultimate conditioning force of their existence. His subject is not man, but man. His theme is man's predicament in the universe. In structure, all his novels become moral dramas in which the conflict of wills, impelled by passions, predominate. And in the plots of his novels, invisible, undesirable, unexpected, inexplicable change plays an important role. All his protagonists have family likeness because almost all of them are moral, good, brave, bold, and heroic in their fight against fate. All the ends and the tails of his novels are one and the same in spirit. Man is crushed by the impressible tyrant fate. As grave is his philosophy, so serious is the atmosphere of his novels. To be brief, his philosophy sometimes spoils his plots and limits his range of characters, themes, and subjects. To be frank, sometimes we do feel that Hardy is excessive in his relentless flogging of gods. So he is a pessimist, but there is a dark, grimly dark and gloomy as well as bright sunny side of his philosophy. He is not a pessimist, a misanthrope like Hobbes, who think man essentially a beast, mean object, law detestable, and an odious creature. He is a pessimist like the classical writers who consider man merely a puppet in the hands of mighty fate. Simply, Hardy is more gloomy than they are. He always sees and finds fate unjust and cruel and blind, jealous of happiness of mankind. He considers the ways of that unknown will immoral, unjust, and commendable. In fact, throughout his creative work, there is a latent philosophy of revolt and revenge. Thus, in the form and the construction of his novels, Hardy is a traditionalist, but in his outlook and conception, he is truly modern. With Hardy begins the modern novels in its complete form, for while Meredith experimented upon and gave a new form of novel, Hardy gave to the subsequent age a set of new ideas and questions which inspired a host of writers and storytellers. That was all about Thomas Hardy. May you got all the points very well. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay connected for more literary videos like that. And don't forget to subscribe my channel, like the videos and share. Me Fairy signing out from the Literary Nook by Fairy.